is, guys, how impressive was Duke? Like against Texas Tech, they don't miss a field goal for the last 9.5 minutes of the ball game against the number one defense in America. They didn't miss a field goal for the last 9.5 minutes of the ball game. Almost a quarter of that ball game, they didn't miss a field goal in a row. Like
against the best defense in college basketball. And look, let's start there. Let's start in the West. Gonzaga knocks off Texas Tech and then knocks off Arkansas, who put an end to Gonzaga's season. I at this point, T.O., Duke has got to be the favorite to win the national title, right?
In my mind. I don't know who guards them. I mean, I understand. I'm so intrigued by this Carolina Duke thing, and I've never really been intrigued by that rivalry, mostly just out of pure jealousy, being from a school a little further south. But this one's going to be fun because you got to think about, I'm kind of not into the big handshake thing, like all this, that, and the other. Like I don't really care that much about that stuff. But just because it happened so recently, now I kind of care about it. And then Coach K losing, the pressure, in my opinion, guys, this might be a crazy take. The pressure's in the Final Four is not as big as it was in Coach K's last game at Cameron. I feel like the pressure in that game against Cameron with all those players, with Jerry Seinfeld, and I don't know, Jerry Seinfeld, and was it Barack Obama? Was he there? like all these unbelievable people were at this game. And Duke, they struggled and they were embarrassed, and they want Carolina again. They wanted them in the ACC championship game. They didn't get them. Now they get them in the Final Four and one final shut up for either team. It is going to be electric. I'm so excited about going. There is so much history between the two programs. I think they're divided by, I don't know how many wins and how many points. It's like such a minute
miles.
thing.
They're 13 miles. And I think in their rivalry, it's something like, it's 10 points difference. It's like one win and 10 points difference that they've scored over the course of the last 100 years. Yeah.
Which is insane. And it's all that stuff. It's all that stuff. RJ Davis and Jeremy Roach coming on as two of the best point guards in the country. Dude, next season, those are going to be 2 top 5 point guards in college basketball. And now we're getting a preview for it at their peak of this season. There's so much good about this game to watch, and I hope everything goes smoothly, but I don't see how in the world Carolina keeps up with this Duke team that's playing this well right now.
Yeah. What was your takeaway from watching that region, Fanta?
Well, it's that Duke played so well on the offensive end of the floor late in games. I'm curious to see if they actually replicate/duplicate it in New Orleans. That's my twist on this, is that they look so good down the stretch. I don't know how much better they could have even looked in those games because they closed perfectly. I'm just so impressed by the way these kids have grown up over the last couple of weeks, by the steps they've taken, by the way that they finished, by the balance. Duke's unselfishness has elevated here. Yeah. And there's something about this group. It takes the DNA of a team to be able to come together under these very strange circumstances. Not often are you an 18 to 22-year-old kid and you're playing in somebody's final season. You're seeing these guys are in the locker room. There's TVs in there. They've got a clue. They see how many times have we seen Coach K walk in with his wife over the last 2 weeks. The camera shots are something on The Last Dance. And I just am so impressed by the maturation of guys. I'm so impressed by Paolo Banchero and the way that he is going about things in this tournament. I think that he's picking his spots more correctly. I think he's hitting more perimeter shots. And he only hit 1 3 against Arkansas, and he only shot 4 for 11. But I just like the way that he has settled in. And I think Roach has done a terrific job. But you know what my biggest takeaway from the weekend was, Rob Doster, for Duke? Mark Williams is a man.
Yes.
He totally dictated the way that the Arkansas game went. He owned the paint. And guess who owned the paint on Sunday in Philadelphia? Armando Bacot. So out of all the things I'm intrigued to see, it's who's going to own that matchup, because these two teams got a lot of great guard play going on, and we could talk about what makes them tick and that Duke has a slight edge there. But the physicality on the interior of this game and the way the game gets called will be very interesting to watch play out when these two teams meet, because Mark Williams is relentless and Armando Bacot was in beast mode yesterday. So I'm really intrigued to see how that all plays out, because amongst everything Duke's doing offensively and finding themselves in creating balance, one thing's for certain. In the NCAA tournament, you got to have a toughness that's even different from the regular season. Yep. And Mark Williams has given them a toughness. He is that dude.
Length versus strength. Length versus strength.
Yeah, 100%. And look, you guys kind of nailed it. It's Jeremy Roach. It's the fact that Duke has been playing with a little bit of more confidence. Like I think that they grew up between the loss to Virginia Tech and the loss to North Carolina, and then getting down against Michigan State and coming back and winning that game, right? Getting punched in the mouth by Texas Tech and coming back and winning that game the way they did down the stretch. It feels like they figured, like it's clicked. We've been waiting all season long for it to click. One of the biggest things for me, though, is it feels like Coach K has really kind of embraced this idea that, look, if I just give the ball to Paolo about 18 feet away from the basket and get everybody the hell out of the way, no one can stop him. Just give him mid-post isolations and let him work. I love Brady Manek. I think Brady Manek, we'll talk about this in a little bit. I think Brady Manek is the reason why North Carolina was able to turn things around in January when they did. Brady Manek going one-on-one against Paolo Banchero is not something that I think is going to work out all that well for North Carolina long-term. And it feels like Coach K has kind of embraced this idea where sometimes just give the ball to your best player, get the hell out of the way, and let him.
That's what he's been doing for 10 years, Doster.
He wasn't when they lost to North Carolina. That's not what they were running. When they lost to Virginia Tech, that's not what was happening. And down the stretch, some of these games they let him work. And look, to Jeremy Roach's credit, he was the one that made the plays against Michigan State. He was the one that made the couple of big baskets against
he's been good.
Texas Tech. Yeah, he's been.